National Peace Committee meets in Abu Mina to chart a new course for peaceful conduct of 2023 elections. University lecturers defy order, wait for union directives to return to classroom. Flood kills 3 in Nasarawa State as survivors cry for help. And on the foreign scene, U.S. aircraft carrier arrives in South Korea as warning to North. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. We begin in Minna, where members of the National Peace Committee met to chart a new course for peaceful conduct of the 2023 elections. The meeting called on political parties and their supporters to build their campaigns on issues rather than attacking the personality of political opponents. Chairman of the committee, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, addressed the media after the meeting, which lasted for over 2 hours in his uphill residence. The report.
The meeting had in attendance Sultan of Sokoto Saad Abubakar, Bishop Hassan Kuka, the INEC chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, Aliko Dangote, among other members of the committee. General Abubakar said that first peace accord will be signed on September 29th in Abuja to commit all political parties, presidential candidates and their spokespersons to peaceful political campaigns and rallies. He said the second peace accord, which would come up shortly before the elections, is intended to commit candidates to accepting the outcome of the vote as long as it is adjudged to be free, fair and credible.
So the essence of this meeting is to arrange for the signing of peace accord for free and fair campaigns. This time around we are preparing to have 2 signing of the accord. One is for the presidential candidates, sometimes in January, to sign an accord that they will accept the result of the election if they feel it free and fair.
Abubakar, however, called on electorate to come out to participate in the electoral processes and desist from vote selling during elections. The committee then emphasized the need to promote a culture of healthy issue-based campaigns and political communication. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, called for support of the media towards achieving peaceful conduct of the 2023 elections.
We briefed the National Peace Committee on preparations for the 2023 general elections, which is only 156 days away from today. We also expressed our appreciation to the Peace Committee for devolving their intervention beyond the national elections to the off-season governorship elections, beginning with the Edo governorship election and all through until the last 2 governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun.
Yakubu wants political parties and candidates to conduct themselves in a manner that would bring about peaceful elections.
And to politics now, where Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has declared that he will not leave the People's Democratic Party for anyone, no matter what happens. Wike says he's interested in maintaining party prudence and will remain in the party to fight for the enthronement of unity, inclusiveness and peace in the party. The governor stated this at Rivers State PDP stakeholders meeting at Government House, Port Harcourt. He insists that the constitution of the party clearly explains how elective and party offices to be occupied. Governor Wike wondered why the former PDP BOT chairman will be pressured into resigning, and the PDP national chairman, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, is excusing himself from the same. The governor urged party members to be steadfast because God is on their side. And since they have not known defeat, PDP cannot be defeated in 2023 general elections in Rivers State. Nigeria's government said that government economic blueprint, or the recent economic blueprint unveiled by the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, was a crude attempt at copying its policies. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed said this at a news conference in Abuja, where he also criticized the opposition party of lacking new ideas that offer alternatives to Nigerians. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Addressing the newsmen, Lai Mohammed accused the PDP presidential candidate of an attempt to duplicate the Buhari government policies in the areas of job creation, infrastructure financing, relationship with the private sector, rejuvenation of the power sector, poverty reduction, debt management, and the overall management of the economy.
That rebuilding infrastructure and reducing infrastructure deficit would enhance the carrying capacity of the economy and unleash growth and wealth creation. End of quote. No one understands this better than the Buhari administration. Even our worst critics will agree that our record on infrastructure development is next to none in the history of this country.
On proposed legislation by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to decentralize the power sector, Lai Mohammed said the PDP presidential candidate is exhibiting ignorance on the ongoing efforts of the Buhari administration in that regard.
It is apparent that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has not heard of the CMS partnership with the federal government under the Presidential Power Initiative, the most ambitious project yet in the effort to improve the seemingly intractable power sector on which the PDP frittered over $16 billion to procure nothing but darkness.
The Minister of Information also picked holes in the Atiku Abubakar's submissions on poverty reduction, mounting debt profile, security and budget deficit.
Said, and I quote, Nigeria under the APC-led government has consistently run on budget deficit since it came to power in 2015. And that these budget deficits are often above the 3% threshold permissible under the Fiscal Responsibility Law. End of quote. This is a misrepresentation of facts. The truth is that Nigeria has been running on budget deficit since 2009.
He challenged the PDP to come up with new policies instead of what he called reeling out what the present administration is doing. Atiku Abubakar had unveiled plans during the Presidential Economic Agenda Forum in Lagos to resuscitate small businesses with $10 billion economic stimulus package within the first 100 days if elected in 2023. Shapiro Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And despite the National Industrial Court ruling restraining Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU from continuing the 7-month strike, lecturers are waiting for directives from the union for further action. Noel Sampson visits one of the universities in Abuja to see the level of compliance with the order.
The National Industrial Court of Nigeria has ruled that ASU should call off their ongoing strike and resume work. But a visit to this university that is always bustling with activities is eerily quiet, showing no sign of work resumption. Classrooms and most offices empty, enveloped in dust, and the once spacious environment that was covered with students and petty traders mingling with different activities is now covered with grass and termites. A lecturer in the university spoke on the court ruling.
My personal opinion is that ASU should actually appeal that judgment so that by the time we get to the Supreme Court, we get the final verdict. Then at that time, because one thing we can assure you is that ASU is law abiding. ASU has a process. Actually, when the judgment comes, the National Executive will have to go back to notify all branches. Branches must also have Congress meetings. So at the end of the Congress meeting, they will pass that information that, okay, this is the court decision, and then what's the next line of action? I'm sure it will be discussed exhaustively at all ASU branches nationwide. With or without the strike, actually, lecturers come in. Like I come in today not because I'm complying with any order that the university should be open. I have my other research things to do. I have other my academic activities to do. So I'm sure colleagues usually come, with or without the order. But I don't really know because the order just came in, I think, yesterday. So today is just the first day after the announcement of the order. So I wouldn't know, possibly. Some may just come to say, okay, what's happening?
Moving from the academic, those petty traders who depend on the students to make a living said absence of academic activities has affected them negatively.
If ASU will respond to what the court say, because we staying back home, all this while has affected our business. And not only us, even the students that are supposed to have moved forward, they are still held back because of the strike. So if the ASU president will adhere to what the court ruling is and they come back to state to be very good.
Our reaction about this strike typically was, thank God, we see some moves from government, we see some move from societies and associations and so on.
Observers said, while ASU and the federal government seem to be at a deadlock and adamant, Nigerian students are at the receiving end. They said it is the future and the future of this great nation that is at stake. Therefore, a amicable solution must be reached. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And to security matters now, where the Gombe State Police Command has burst a 6-member kidnapping syndicate while in the process of collecting ransom from the relatives of the victim. The feat was achieved after one of the suspects was arrested at Gombe Main Market while trying to collect the sum of 300,000 naira ransom from the family of his victim. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
These are the 2 suspected kidnappers arrested, while 4 members of the kidnapping syndicate were at large. The 6 gang members allegedly abducted Malam Jibrilu, a resident of Wukari local government area of Taraba State. The suspects, who collected the sum of 4 million naira from the victim's brother 5 months ago, have threatened to re-abduct and kill the victim if the sum of 400,000 naira is not paid. They kidnapped and threatened to kill me if my brother did not pay 10 million naira. They later agreed at 4 million naira. My brother borrowed the money with the interest of 600,000 naira and gave them. They released me.
Sannan ya kawo masu sun kase. Oh, ya karɓo kaman bashi kenan. Madalla bashi kenan. To ya kai masu sun kase ko ni ranar Laraba.
After 5 months, they threatened to kill me if my brother failed to pay 1 million naira. We refused to pay the money, but we later agreed to pay 400,000 naira, but asked them to send their account details. We informed a POS operator. He vowed to help us apprehend the suspect. He tracked them in Gombe and collaborated with the police.
Anam Gombe, to sai ya hada da hukuma sun ka samu sun ka sake daya.
And arrested one of them. The other one, who ran to Kano, threatened me. He was arrested by the Gombe State Police Command. I commend them.
Bai son shewa ana bibiyan shi. Hukuma na nan Allah ya canya masu albarka.
The suspects, who confessed to their crime, said they have been involved in various criminal activities. A boy known as Dogo gave us intelligence that there are some Fulanis in Bantaje, Taraba State.
Bantaje jihar ina.
Taraba. They gave us 3 AK-47 rifles to kidnap the people, and we went and kidnapped the Fulani man.
AK-47 guda uku. To shine wannan suka dauke mu suka kai mu muka je muka kamo wannan bafulatani muka tawo da shi.
The Nigeria Police Gombe State Command said it remained determined in the fight against criminalities across the state. The command said it will not relent in ensuring that the lives and property of its citizenry are protected.
Upon investigation, the said Saidu Salisu Saidu was apprehended at Kano State by detectives of the X-Squad State CID Gombe. Effort is in place to arrest the fleeing suspects, while the case under investigation, after which they will be brought to justice.
Kidnapping for ransom is more prevalent in northwest and north-central parts of Nigeria. However, the menace is now engulfing the northeastern state amidst other social vices. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
You're watching Trust TV News Update. And still ahead on the news. How the craft of clock repair is fading out. Details of this and more after the break. You stay with us.
That's great.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's recap our top stories. National Peace Committee meets in Minna to chart a new course for peaceful conduct of the 2023 elections. And university lecturers defy order, wait for union directives to return to classroom. And in other news, Nasarawa State Emergency Management Agency says 3 persons have lost their lives in flood in the state. Director General of the agency, Zakaria Alumaga, confirmed this in an exclusive interview with Trust TV in Lafia. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in the report as presented from our studio.
It's a common phenomenon during rainy season, but even more frequent this year, ravaging several parts of Nasarawa State, especially the riverine areas. Speaking on the disaster, Director General Nasarawa State Emergency Management Agency Zakaria Alumaga confirmed the death of 3 persons in the flood.
But the flash point areas, like in Karu, we have lost somebody already some people who attempted to cross the usual bridges that they are used to. But because, they underrated the level of water, so they thought they could cross. Those type of people, we've lost them around Karu already. 3. Karu, yes, 3. Somebody and his driver, and then 1 Okada man. All these ones have been lost.
The Director General said 5 local government areas of the state are prone to flood because they are sharing boundaries with River Benue. But government is not relenting in ensuring that inhabitants of the affected areas do not suffer.
In other words, all the village areas along the river Rhine, along this River Benue, have already been submerged. We are in the process of evacuation. We are in the process of trying to look for how to provide succor for those who are affected. That is the position that we are in now. And that is what we have been doing. As a matter of fact, even relief materials have already gotten to some of them.
He also attributed the damages to the delay by the Cameroonian Authority to notify its Nigerian counterpart about the rising level of water in the Labdo Dam.
The water level had risen at the Lado Dam. Incidentally, we were not told earlier that it is going to happen today or tomorrow. It is when NENMET in Nigeria here began to get information that, look, it appears water level is rising. That, they now contacted Cameroon, and Cameroon said yes, they release water small in the dam. They didn't want it to. So if you are releasing water small, you should tell us. And they didn't tell us that, but they released water small.
In recent weeks, over 20 communities of Awe, Doma, Lapia, Nasarawa, and total local government areas were affected despite measures taken by government to address the situation. Leaders of the affected communities are calling for more assistance.
Now, horology, or the craft of repairing watches and clocks, was once a lucrative business, with so much innovation and creativity from both the manufacturers and repairers. However, with the invention of mobile phones, the use of wristwatches and clocks has greatly diminished, as many no longer rely on timepieces to keep time and check calendars. Abdullahi Yamadi spoke to some watch repairers in Katsina who share their experience and what they think can be done to rejuvenate the business.
The fact that watches are no longer an in thing is demonstrated these days by the decrease in the number of people, especially youth, who no longer put on wristwatches. The people say the mobile phones serve the purpose of wristwatches, which is why there is no need to waste resources on timepieces. To be frank with you, this business is at the point of extinction, but I am determined that this craft will go on whether anybody likes it or not. There are, however, those who still have a passion for watches who continue to put on timepieces to satisfy their preferences. I sincerely believe that this business will continue to thrive, no matter the challenges bedeviling the business. Many people will continue to patronize wristwatches, and by so doing will keep the skill relevant. Besides the diminishing watch business, the watch repairers are also complaining lack of spare parts. Some horologists who have spent over 50 years on the job say the business has never been so bad, as the main concern is not even how to improve skills, but how to cope with the increasing cost of watches spare parts. To me, watches repairing is my lifetime business because I inherited this business from my father since when I was 7 years old. I am appealing to governments to consider watches repairers in their empowerment programs. This business that was hitherto lucrative is at the verge of collapsing if the interest in clocks and watches continue to decline. But then observers say whether the cock crows or not, eventually the sun will rise. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
President Muhammadu Buhari has called on African countries and their Arab partners to work hard and be more united to realize common objectives. The president made the call while speaking at a bilateral meeting with the president of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, in New York. President Buhari, in a statement issued by his spokesman Femi Adesina, said the actualization of the UN resolution, which proposed a two-state solution to the crisis between Israel and Palestine, required a platform to think creatively on how to engage the rest of the world on the matter. The Palestinian president, who had visited his Nigerian counterpart to thank him for being a consistent supporter of the Palestinian cause, even as he reflected it in his speech at the floor of the General Assembly, to solicit his support by rallying other African countries to their side. He assured the special envoy of the support of Nigeria in the discharge of his assignment, bordering on seeking political and economic solutions to issues confronting countries in the Sahel. At the foreign scene, the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan has arrived in South Korea ahead of a joint military exercise that is seen as a show of strength amid growing North Korean threats. The Ronald Reagan and ships from its accompanying strike force docked at naval base in southern port city of Busan on Friday. The arrival marks the most significant deployment yet by Washington under a new push to have more U.S. nuclear-capable strategic assets operate in the region to deter North Korea. Joint military drills in the coming days will be the first involving a U.S. aircraft carrier in the region since 2017, when the UN sent 3 aircraft carriers, including the Reagan, for naval drills with the U.S. South Korea in response to North Korea nuclear missile tests that at the time North Korea denounced previous U.S. military deployments and joint drills as rehearsals for war and proof of hostile policies by Washington and Seoul. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. For more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.